used to wake up late, look at my clock, and immediately think, well, I lost today. I couldn't even get up on time. It's over. And so I would give up on my productive day. Everything I had planned would go down the drain, and I would waste that entire day. But now, if I wake up late, I just follow these 3 steps, and I'm locked back in, and I get what matters done. And I don't feel any guilt or regret for wasting another day. And I'm going to break down what these 3 steps are for you so that you can experience the same thing. And the first thing we got to talk about is accepting where you are, embracing the day. About like 3-4 days ago, it was cold in my house, well, my mom's house. But anyway, it was cold. We had like an ice storm, and so our heat got messed up because of all the weather, and it was not a good time for me. Now I normally get up at 4:30 to 5 a.m. depending on what I gotta do, how much time I need in the morning. I got up at 5 a.m. and I got out of bed. I went to turn on my light as I usually do in my morning routine. But that cold, it did something different than me. I said, oh my God. I just immediately got back in bed. And normally when I get out of bed, I don't get back in. I don't. I'm consistent with that. But this time, I got back in bed. And I just told myself, I'm just going to warm up for a little bit. But guess what happened? I fell asleep. And then I woke up at 8 a.m. So mind you, I usually get up at 4 or 5. So if I get up at 8 a.m., that means I've either wasted 4 hours or 3 hours of my day. Well, wasted, because nothing really is wasted. But in my mind, when I woke up and saw it was 8, I was like, bro, I could have gone for a walk. I could have read. I could have recorded a video. I could have done so many things. But now I'm waking up late. I missed the most important part of my day. What am I going to do? And so I laid in bed. I laid in bed longer, and I felt bad for it. After about 45 minutes passed, I took a deep breath and was like, all right, well, this is my day. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the best, but that's okay. I accept where I am. And so I got up and started getting ready and started getting prepared to win the day, to at least get something done. And that's what you got to do. When you wake up late, the worst thing you want to do is say, well, it's over. You don't want to reject where you are. You don't want to deny it and say, well, because I couldn't have the best start to my day, because it's a little bit off, I'm going to give up. I'm going to try again tomorrow, because that's a form of perfectionism that's holding you back. And it held me back for so long. I did not understand that it was okay if my day didn't go perfectly. I didn't understand it was okay to do things differently. I didn't understand flexibility. I didn't understand that all that mattered was if I got the work done. It didn't matter if I got up on time. It mattered if I got the work done. And I think that's the disconnect you're facing. You're focused on having the perfect routine, the perfect productive day, when really you should be focused on getting the work that matters done instead of a perfect productive day. Because if you get the work that matters done, you'll get closer to your dreams. That's it. So how can you embrace today? How can you accept where you are when you wake up late instead of defaulting to giving up? I remember like a couple months ago, I was going for a walk, doing my 3 miles, and it was beautiful outside. It felt good. The weather was nice. I'm enjoying this. I'm thinking, yeah, I'm getting this walk in. I'm logging in this time. This is great. Well, halfway into that walk, I pull up my phone and realize I was not even tracking my walk. So halfway in the 3 miles is 1.5 miles. So for 1.5 miles, I did not track it. And I was not going to do an extra 1.5 to get the 3 miles in my tracker. I was just like, okay, well, it wasn't tracking. All right, that's fine. And so I pulled out my tracker, started it, and from where I was, I tracked the rest of my walk. I didn't get the full 3 miles tracked. I only got the 1.5, but that is how you're going to set where you are. You're not going to get mad and say, well, I didn't do it, so I'm just going to leave. I'm not going to walk anymore. I'm going to go home. No, you say, okay, this is where I'm at. I'm going to pick up to where I'm at. So when you get into the mindset, this is really just the mindset. When you shift your mindset from, oh, gloom and doom to this is where I'm at, so where we're going to move forward from here, the next thing you got to do is either plan or replan your day. I spontaneously visited my girlfriend like 3 days ago. And I already planned out my day, so my day hadn't included waking up at her place, but that's what happened. So I woke up, and as she was getting ready for the day and taking her shower and stuff, I pulled out my phone and started reshaping the schedule I made the day prior. So I started changing things up because obviously I didn't wake up at 5 to do my recording and the walk. Obviously I didn't read. Obviously I didn't do my push-ups because I was at her place. I woke up around like, well, we don't wake up late. We wake up around like 5, but we stay in bed a lot longer. So needless to say, I was not productive early in the morning. My version of productive. We did things, but it wasn't like me working on business. But I replanned the day. And so what I did was I just made a to-do list of like 5 items I really wanted to get done once I got home. And I remember I wrote, drive home for my girls at this time, visit my grandparents immediately, get groceries, you get home, have dinner, go for a 3-mile walk, then record a video, do your weekly cleaning. And I just went down. And so when I left her place, instead of being like, well, the whole day was shot because I did this spontaneous thing and I can't rebound from this, I was like, okay, let me go do this to-do list. Let me go ahead and knock this out. And note how I didn't have like times. I didn't make a schedule, because making a schedule on a day where you're off schedule, it doesn't work. At least it doesn't work for me. So I made a to-do list. So it wasn't like I had to visit my grandparents at this certain time. It was, let's visit them, and then whenever you feel like leaving, leave, and then once you leave, immediately go to the grocery store. You know, like I had a flow to my day. Instead of having a strict schedule, it was a flow that allowed me to move dependent on my energy, you know, because obviously I'm not going to get too deep into it, but basically replan your day. So how can you replan your day, or just plan it in general? Because I know so many people don't even plan out their day. To do this, all you gotta do is figure out what are the 1 to 3 most important things you need to get done today that will get you closer to your goals. For me, the 1 to 3 most important things is filming a video, writing the script. That's it. If I can film a video and write a script, I've won the day. And so whenever I'm having off days, I have late mornings, it's not the best for me, I always write down when I replan my day is record a video, write a script. And then for the rest of the day, once you figure out your 1 to 3, knock those out, get them done. Then the rest of the day is shallow work. So with this shallow work, it's things that doesn't really require too much focus. It's going for walks, it's reading, it's spending some time with friends and family, it's preparing for tomorrow, it's cleaning up. Things that aren't too much to do. And the reason why I say do your most important work in the beginning and then shallow work is because you've already lost a big chunk of the day. So it doesn't make sense to try to jam-pack every single thing in. Just do what matters most, and then use the rest of the day to just get the momentum, recover, and then go into the next day with the ball already rolling. Instead of doing your 1 or 3 most important things, and then for the rest of the day, you just lay around and feel sorry for yourself because you weren't on point. Instead, you get your 1 and 3 most important things done, and then for the rest of the day, you're in like a easy level mode of productivity. We're not trying to achieve so much. It's just you're doing small things instead of being on your phone all the time. Because the worst thing you want to do is be on your phone entertaining yourself. That's not going to work out for you. So we covered the most important things, and just for an example to make it more concrete, I already told you the to-do list I made when I was leaving my girls. But I'm gonna tell you it again, just so you can get an idea of like how you can replan or just plan. You don't put any timestamps. So for me, I literally just put when you get home, when you leave from her place, go to your grandparents. Then, and notice this is shallow work. Normally, I would put my most important work in the very beginning, but because of my energy levels, I knew I would need some time to get the ball rolling until I could get myself straight, my mind straight. So it was visit my grandparents, get groceries, eat dinner, and go for a 3-mile walk. And I put go for a 3-mile walk because I knew that was the time I needed to get my mind right. I needed that walk to get myself right to come in and focus. And immediately after my 3-mile walk, I put record a video. Now we're doing the hard work. So that's just an example of how you can plan or replan your day. Just really remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to get the work that matters done, and don't try to overwork yourself. All right. The last thing is, so you've accepted that the day is not going to be the best. You replanned your day, or you planned it. Now the last step is execution. So I told you that I stayed at my girls. I told you I had to replan when I was there, when she was in the shower getting ready for the day, I had to replan. As I was driving home from her place, I had a pack of Girl Scout cookies in my car. And I'm a cookie monster, basically. The night before, I didn't get much good sleep, so I was pretty much sleep deprived. As I drove home, I annihilated. What would you say? I destroyed those cookies. I just ate all of them, which is the worst thing for me because I limit my sugar intake so much. So I gave myself a ton of sugar and I had a crash. I felt so brain dead, foggy, lethargic. I didn't want to do anything. I was literally falling asleep on the road, which was crazy to me. And I should have pulled over, but I was like literally going in and out. But I wanted to get home so bad. I got home. I didn't even visit my grandparents immediately. I got home. I did visit them, but not immediately because I was just dead. I got home. And hint, this is why it's so important that you don't set times in your plan. Because the first list on my plan was to visit my grandparents. But because my energy wasn't there and I just felt so crappy, I instead vouched to go home first and get and reshift my plan again. So replanning really helped. It's just I made my new plan at my girls, and then I got home. I changed it up a little bit, depending on how I felt. Anyway, I got home and I go to my room and I crash on the floor because I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything right now. I just want to sleep. But I heard this voice in my head. I was like, no, you know you're only feeling this way because you ate a ton of sugar and you're crashing. Now is not the time to feed into that. You need to get up and move, especially because you got all that glucose, all that sugar in your body. Your muscles need to eat it up. You need to get moving. I heard that voice telling me to get up. I didn't want to get up, but I got up. I got up and I followed through on the plan to walk 3 miles. And it was miserable at first, but the longer I walked, the more I felt myself coming alive. And then I got back from the walk. I was great. And I immediately got up and visited my grandparents. My mom needed me to drop some food off at them and continue on with my day. Now, the only reason I was able to execute is because I fixed the amount of dopamine inside of me. And until you fix the dopamine inside of you, when you hear that voice telling you, you got to do this, you're not going to do it. Because you're not going to have the energy. You're not going to have the feel like it to do it. You're not going to have the motivation. So what is dopamine? Dopamine is basically the motivational chemical that's inside of you. Most of us do not have enough motivational chemicals to execute on things we say we want to do. So you can completely embrace the day. You can completely make a plan and restructure everything and have that all down to a T. But executing is completely different because the only way you're going to execute is not through discipline, it's not through willpower, it's not by pushing yourself. It's through having the motivational chemicals inside of you that make it easy to just execute. If anybody ever tells you to just do it, get away from them because they don't understand the concept behind this. They don't understand that just do it is the worst advice because just do it negates the idea that you need the motivational chemicals inside of you to just do it. Now, if you had enough dopamine inside of you, and I told you to just do the work, you would do it. But chances are you don't have enough dopamine inside of you. So if I tell you these 2 steps and tell you now you just execute on the plan, embrace the day, you're not going to do it because you don't have enough dopamine inside of you to make the hard work a little bit easier for you to do. So this leads to a question of how do you get the dopamine inside of you that you need? To help you understand that, I have to show you how you lose dopamine. And the quickest, simplest way is that you lose dopamine when you experience pleasure. There's 2 forms of pleasure you can experience, a high form and a regular form. Most of us experience high forms of pleasure way too often. And what are high forms of pleasure? Social media, binging TV, playing games, taking drugs. These things release so much pleasure inside of us. And the more pleasure that's released, the less motivational chemicals we have inside of us, the harder it is for us to do the work that needs to get done because you don't have what we need to do it. But if you transition from a high level pleasure to a regular level pleasure, well, instead you spend time reading, you spend time working on something that matters to you, developing your skills, you get a little hobby and you spend time working on this. When you switch over to regular forms of pleasure, first of all, you're going to feel bored until you adjust, but you're going to release a less amount of dopamine. You still release dopamine, but it's going to be a regular amount. So no longer are you going to be devoid of the motivational chemicals inside of you. You'll have so much because you're not wiping it out with this high level of stimulation, these high pleasures. You're keeping it at a normal amount inside of you from doing regular things. Now the thing is, we are in a society where it is normal to spend your time, spend your life entertaining yourself, amusing yourselves. I've seen so many people on the weekends where they could be enjoying life outside, spending time with friends, investing in hobbies. I see them watch TV all day in the same spot on the couch. And then they wonder why they never have the drive to do what they want, to achieve more. It's because they're constantly draining the dopamine, the motivational chemical, and there's nobody telling them that's a problem because we, our society, think that's okay to do. I'm telling you right now, if you want to achieve success, you cannot do what the average people do. You cannot do what the majority are doing. You cannot spend your time amusing yourself with these highly stimulating things because that's going to stop your drive for greatness. I don't have a TV in my room. Look. Wanna know what I do for fun? I have a standing desk where I do work at. I don't have a TV in my room. I gave my gaming system away to my friend, so I can't even game. Look at my phone. I have no apps on my phone other than educational stuff. No apps other than Audible, Runkeeper, and Self-Talk. My phone is boring as heck. So I don't get my pleasure from these high stimulating things. I get it from going for a walk. I get it from recording a video. I get it from writing scripts. I get it from investing in hobbies. I get it from spending time with my friends and my family. And because I get my pleasure from regular sources of pleasure, the motivation to achieve, the motivation to do things, the feeling that I can do things, and the ability to execute. Even if I don't feel like it, the ability to execute is there. And it's kind of paradoxical because sometimes I don't feel like it, but I always have the feelings to do it. It's just like weird, but you understand it when you fix your dopamine. So the question is, how do you fix your dopamine? And how do you make it easier to execute? Well, execution is a lot easier based off two things. Of course, fixing dopamine, which I'm gonna get to, but also planning. When you have a plan, when you have clarity on what to do, the next steps to take, it's a lot easier to take that. It's like running a race. You wouldn't run a race if there's no track and there's no goal, right? But the second there's a track and there's a finish line, you'll run it because you know exactly where you're headed. Planning is the same way. It gives you the track and it gives you the finish line. So you can actually get on the racetrack and start going. So planning is really important. And we already covered that. The second thing is fixing the dopamine. First, I have a dopamine guidebook that I'm going to have linked in my description, which is going to go into way more detail and help you fix your dopamine and keep it fixed. But to give you just a quick tool that you can start using today to start fixing dopamine today, is whenever you do something, ask yourself, will my ancestors 1,000 years ago do this? So let's say you got your phone and you want to hop on social media. Will my ancestors 1,000 years ago do this? No, they had no access to phones, so you don't carry your phone. Let's say you want to play the guitar, practice your skill on the guitar. My ancestors 1,000 years ago do this, or 100 years ago, yeah. They had access to instruments, albeit different instruments to us, but they had access, so I will do that. Now let's say you finish playing guitar, you want to watch TV. My ancestors do that, they didn't have TV. Not 100 years, they probably had 100 years ago, but 1,000 years ago, they didn't have TV, so you don't watch it. Instead, you pick up a book. Will my ancestors read? Yes, they would read. They had access to books. And just that question reframes a lot of things, not reframes, but it stops you from doing a lot of highly pleasurable things, and it reconnects you to the regular sources of pleasure. Now, I will say, you're going to realize there's a lot of things you can't do anymore. There's a lot of things you can't do anymore because you'll realize that stuff is draining you. It's really high stimulating. So you're going to be bored, and you're going to want to spend your time doing something. The best things that I've done is I've invested in the hobbies. You know, I'm learning the yo-yo. I've learned how to juggle, skateboard, freestyle rapping. Like, there's a lot of hobbies you can invest in. You can also focus on self-developing. And I'm not going to get too deep into that, but just ideas of how you can spend your time once you stop doing these highly stimulating things. Another thing is to improve your skills in something, to gain mastery in something, to work on a business. There are so many things you can do outside of entertainment. And you're going to be looking for that, because you're going to be bored once you realize there's so much that you can't be doing. So, when I did my dopamine detox, or just when I fixed my dopamine, I went on a dopamine detox. And for the first month, I told myself I cannot use my phone for nothing. Only to call people. It's not even listen to music. And it sucked. Like, I remember the first week, I felt literally depressed. I don't know if I was, but I felt depressed. I felt like there was nothing to do. I felt like life was just meaningless, and it was intense. But then I started finding other things to do with my time, and now here I am. So this stuff works.